So, self-regulation, which is something that we all need. Now, it takes part in our personal awareness and having a greater control on how we conduct ourselves and manage our feelings. And so, many people, whether you're on the spectrum or not, really struggle with regulating and managing their feelings and their emotions. And so it is about processing that and having conversation about how are you feeling. Welcome back to On the Rug. My name is Nisha. If this is your first time here on the rug with me, we have 3 segments on this show. So, on today's episode, we are going to talk about chapter 2 of the book, The Pivot, that we have been reading. I'm really excited about what we're going to share today because she gave some really great tools that we can utilize in chapter 2. Then we have our business story, our business lesson story time segment after book chat. On today's episode, we are going to talk about submitting to the process. Yeah, we're gonna get into it because man, I'm having moments myself, and that's where we're vulnerable and we're sharing what we're learning as entrepreneurs and artists and as dreamers in our process of our journey. And submitting to the process, I'm learning right now is such a key thing. So we're going to talk about more and dive into it more in this episode. And then the last segment of the show is New Song Alert, where I share a new song that I've written and I'm going to record. You guys are getting like the demo raw version of me literally just finishing sorry, putting the ink to the paper, writing the song, working out a bit of the melody for it, and then you'll eventually hear it once it's mixed and mastered and then performed. But you're getting all of my creative process first. So yeah, that's at the end of the show. The song that I'm going to perform on this episode is called Stop. So we'll see what you guys think about it. But yeah, let's get into book chat. So we are now in chapter 2 of the book The Pivot by Kim Gallo. She's a speech pathologist. If you have been watching the previous episodes, then you know that we've been reading like 10 pages at a time. But I've switched that because my Kindle Unlimited wasn't giving me the right page numbers to give to you guys. So I decided that we're going to just go chapter by chapter. It is more pages, so totally understand if it's too much. You can always get the summary from me in the episodes, but if you do want to read for yourself and get even more in-depth information, I definitely recommend you get the book. So the description is always in the episode link. I'm at the link is always in the description. Said that too fast, okay? So that you can get the book if you haven't gotten it yet. So right now, we finished chapter 2, and I'm going to give you guys a summary of some really cool tools that Kim provided us as parents and even as individuals that are dealing with autism. And so she talked about not only the 5 senses that most of us are aware of, but there are these 3 extra senses that we're really not taught about. And that's the vestibular, the interoceptive, and the proprioceptive. Proprioceptive. I hope I'm saying that right. But those are the 3 extra senses that when it comes to autism, and we'll dive in a little bit more of where we have that disconnect between the neurotypical and the neurodivergent and their way of receiving things. So she gave us some really good tools to help us navigate our environments and situations. And so I wanted to jot those down and share those with you just in case you're not able to read the chapter. So she was saying that like if your child is autistic or if you're autistic and you're sensitive to smells, some people are adverse to smells more than others. Then one of the things that you can do is to, use unscented shampoos. So I'm sure the parents who have children who are autistic or on the neurodivergent spectrum that have sensitivity to smells, you may already know that, but some people don't want to assume, and that's okay if you don't. That's what we're here for, to share information with each other. If they do the opposite of being like, instead of being adverse, which is like No, like, they're going into a Sephora and they're just like nauseated because all the perfumes. Maybe they shouldn't go to Sephora. Maybe you should order it online instead, if possible. There's just certain things that you may have to avoid. But if your child is like kind of obsessive with certain smells and can get into situations where maybe they're standing a little too close to someone because they really like the way they smell, or they're sniffing people's hair or something like that because, they just really, really like the way that it smells. There's different things that you can do. And she was saying that, if they're seeking that sense of smell, then you can have like flowers in your home. You can burn incense. You can have like a little handkerchief that has a perfume on it that they really like, or spray on their clothes really nice perfume smells that they like and enjoy, and that can keep them from doing that. Right. Like, that's such a great tool and a tip that helps the parents, where you don't have to go and explain to people why your child is sniffing, or even an individual. If you're an adult and you do that, that's something that you can get to help you out. And even with sounds, she was saying, like, with severe anxiety can come about in the classroom, how important it is for educators to understand how the sound is affecting the child. Like, for example, with my daughter, school drop off, I try to help navigate that for her a little bit because there is so much going on. Shoot, I get overstimulated and I start thinking to myself, am I on the spectrum? Do I have the tism? Probably. But I have to help her navigate that. Like, it's a lot. So I'll ask her, like, oh, do you want to play in this slide? Or do you want to sit down here? Or do till she shows me that she's feeling comfortable, and then she'll tell me bye. But it is important to be aware of that it is a lot in the classroom to take in, and they may need some space, or a personal space. Like, her first teacher, she really understood that, and she would have a little area where G can just play Legos because she loves to build things. So she would let her just do that for a little bit and then come back to activities, just because sometimes she knew that she needed her alone time. And those are the little things that really can go a long way. And you fighting for that as a parent, and doing that, also modeling in your home. Like, do you need some personal space when you start to see them, maybe behaving anxiously? So I have a few different things I want to get through because I don't want this segment to last like 40 minutes. So, because she gave so many great tips and I wanted to give you guys tips. So let me run through them. Let me just get through them. Okay. So we're going to get to taste. So with taste, she had recommended that the issue is not taste, that it's usually the textures, which is the problem. So hiding food can backfire. And that was something I learned because I hide vegetables, chicken, all types of stuff in my daughter's pastas all the time. But she was saying that that could backfire eventually on me. So I got to figure out something else. She recommended that you can take your child to a nutritionist to see which foods that don't provide them such a bad experience, because it may be a part of with their taste palette that when they're eating this particular food that it really tastes like death in their mouth. So, going to a nutritionist can be beneficial for that. My daughter's occupational therapist, when we were going through the whole feeding thing, because she went from eating pretty much anything to being very picky about what she would not eat, and had about like 5 food items that we would have to like rotate between. And thankfully, one of them is one that I can like hide different things into. So, his thing was more so of like introducing preferred and non-preferred simultaneously together. And that did help in ways to open her up to where she'll try things at least now. So that was one of the ways that an actual therapist, I don't want to say actual because Kim is an actual therapist too, an occupational therapist had recommended. Touch. She was saying firm touch instead of light touch can lead to less anxiety. So, like firm hugs, we do that a lot. If she's just seeming overstimulated, I ask her, "Oh, do you want a hug?" And she gives that consent, and then I'll firmly give her a bear hug, and that usually helps calm down the nervous system. Vision. Many autistic people have significant strengths in visual perception skills. So that's why they gravitate to things like colors and numbers and puzzles. So it's recommended to have switches like they can help regulate your lights at home, like dimming lights, because sometimes they can have different sensitivity to light. And so you're not feeling as like, what's wrong with you? You know, if you can, it's just something great to know and be aware of. That one sense, which was the proprioception, it's the way of processing. Okay, so she would say they may have difficulty with their gross or fine motor skills, including oral motor speech and sound production. It regulates and calms the nervous system. And the kid who, okay, so there's an example where there was a kid that had put his head in between the mattress and the spring, and when they asked him like, why are you doing that, he was like, because I like the weight on top of me. And that goes back to like that firmness, like that sense of just like, like everything. I don't know how to explain it. You just feeling like, oh gosh, like off the ground. And I feel like that firming fin just kind of like brings you down, just kind of calms the nervous system. So she had recommended activities that can help with that calming, like sports, throwing a ball back and forth. She recommended lifting, jumping, can be like lifting or pushing something that can be heavy. We used to have like a bench here, and I would have my daughter help me like push it across the room, and she really enjoyed that, and that would just help get some of that energy out, and was one of the things that her occupational therapist had also recommended. Girl, let me get through these notes. Let me get these because I want to make sure that you get everything. If you can help someone else or help yourself with these tools. So self-regulation, which is something that we all need. Now, it takes part in our personal awareness and having a greater control on how we conduct ourselves and manage our feelings. And so, many people, whether you're on the spectrum or not, really struggle with regulating and managing their feelings and their emotions. And so it is about processing that and having conversation about how are you feeling. And one of the tools that we're actually going to be getting this week from one of my child's therapists, her ESDM therapist, is like this chart thing she was telling me about where it could help you like process through like, okay, well, how did we get here? How do we tell a story? How do we get to this point of anger? How do we get to this point of sadness? What were the steps so that we can know, oh, okay. And I was like, wow, I feel like everybody could use that, so when I do get that, I'm going to share that with you guys too, because I thought that was really cool when she was telling me about it. And then let me see. Okay, so these are the last ones, which is our final goal should be executive function. And so these are the goals that we want to be in alignment with within our households as individuals with autism, or if we are parents managing children with autism, or even if we're educators that come across children that are on the spectrum. It's about having adaptive thinking, then being able to adjust to situations when needed. That's a goal that we're always working on, with smoother transitions and understanding that things don't always go the way that you expected them to go. Planning, creating a plan. Now, for me, it's something very important. I have a planner, a task planner every day. And if I don't have my planner, I am lost. And that's the same thing for autistic people, where if we can have some form of plan in place, then it can make it easier for us to communicate about the adjustments that happen. And that works simultaneously. Like, yes, it's great to have a plan, but sometimes there are things that occur and you have to take a deep breath and you have to move forward. And so that's what comes with self-control, maintaining our composure despite our feelings and our emotions. For me today, coming to record, Mother Nature, I'm going through it. Like, did I want to? No. I'm going to be honest with you. But beyond my feelings, my emotions, I have a job to do. I have a commitment to come to. This is a job for me at this point. And like, clock it in. It's like, you still got to go to work, you know? And that's more, no matter if it's an independent project or something you're doing on your own or your job you're making money for. Beyond your feelings and your emotions, you still have to get up and go. And what you'll learn, one thing that I tell myself and I even tell my daughter, feelings are like clouds. They will pass and you will see the clear sky. That's what I tell myself. But for her, I usually, it's okay. It will pass. Take a deep breath. You won't always feel this way. You could also feel this way, you know, because she's 4. So I have to talk to her a little bit different. But that's the thing. It's like feelings are literally like clouds. So you have to know how to manage them and allow them to pass and don't get stuck in thinking that the sun is not above the clouds because it always is. So she talked about organization. Arranging things in order to maintain some order is very helpful in your home. And so I wanted to jot all these down and give to you because, like I said, I know a lot of us don't have the same amount of time to read the book and do the pages and everything. But I think these are some wonderful tools that can really help us better understand how to manage things and not be so frantic, especially dealing with meltdowns that happen in the public space. I really got from this chapter how to better understand the way my daughter is receiving the world, if that makes sense. Because I feel like in the last chapter, when we really more so focused on, okay, yes, there's a difference. It's not a disability. Okay, now we're getting in depth in chapter 2 of what are the details of that difference, which is how is it that your brain and your body is receiving the world, and how is that affecting your way in communicating and connecting? Like she gave at the end of the chapter one of her scenarios, and it's like this child who was talking with someone and the person was like, well, why aren't you making eye contact with me and like listening to me? And they're like, well, I can't listen to you and look at you at the same time because if I look at you then I can't understand what you're saying. And it was really interesting because someone else may take that as like, wow, you're being disrespectful, but for them and the way their brain processed information and received information, literally doing those two things at the same time they just didn't work together. And they could listen and look away and process what they were saying. So that was the beauty I felt in this chapter of like getting more in depth of learning about our senses. And I'm even learning more about my own senses of like, wow, okay, like how do I receive that? And how the sounds and sense and my taste, all these things, how does this apply to me too, you know? So I hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, let's get into our next segment. We're going to get into our business lesson story time. I'm watching Nat Geo, and this piece about sea turtles comes on. And so it starts off talking about how, you know, the sea turtles, their eggs, they're on the beach. And then it's like there's a lot of them, lots of eggs that start off on the beach and how they hatch. And their whole main mission after they hatch immediately is to make it, make it down to the ocean, you know? And so you see like all these different little turtles going, and then there's these seagull birds that like come out of nowhere and try to like swoop them up and like eat them and stuff like that. So then there's this one little turtle that they kind of like focused on, and we see that little turtle hatch. We see that little turtle just going, trying to make it to the ocean, trying to make it to the shore, you know? And then at one point where I'm like, oh, go little turtle, you know, it flips over somehow. I don't know if it was like going too fast, got too excited, and it kind of like flipped on its back, and it's like, no, I'm about to watch this turtle die on Nat Geo. Like, this is depressing, you know? But somehow, some way, he like flips himself back over and then makes it to the ocean. And then they like tell you pretty much now it's time for part 2 because fascinating. Not only is he this little turtle in this big old ocean, but now, you got to grow up, and it's like very rare that turtles become like full grown. So it's like when you see a full grown turtle, that turtle is a G, like for real, because turtle been through some things. And so I thought about that with today's topic because it's like just the process of what just hatching wasn't enough for the turtle. Like hatching was a process in itself. Making it from the sand to the ocean, then having to go to the next. It's like it's a process that can be grueling, but it is the process. And that little turtle, because it's the way of life, has to submit to it. It's the order of things. And so I thought about that, and I think about that as I'm building my business. When it comes to my healthcare business right now, I'm at the ground level startup of trying to raise capital. So I'm raising capital in three different ways. I work with investors as partners for locations. I am doing a GoFundMe campaign that we're working on launching right now. And then I also submit and apply for grants. And so it's a day-to-day thing. We're task by task each day. And coming from my background in sales in real estate before, it's like you're taught everything is a numbers game. So it's like, yes, I could build in my database 400 investors of leads that I'm going to communicate with. I may get 10 out of that 400 appointments. And then out of those 10 appointments, one actual closed deal. That's how you have to think about it. That's the process. And you have to submit yourself to that process. It's the order of things. There's no way around it. You can scheme and scam if you want to do things in a quicker way, but you're going to suffer on the back end. You're not suffering on the front end because you're taking the easy way out and doing whatever it takes to get the bag now. But in the end, you're going to have to pay your dues, or you could pay your dues on the front end and suffer and build and do what you got to do and study and educate yourself and go through the process and be told no and get to that one. But then you're going to enjoy the reward. Regardless, there's no way around the order of things. There's no way around the process. And even when it comes to music, like I didn't know about the studio process and how do you pay the engineers and your mix and mastering person. It was something that kind of introduced me to all those things along the way. And I had to pay money that I lost in order to learn things that I would have never learned unless I invested into that and had to take that L. And because it's not really an L when you gain the knowledge from knowing, oh, okay, now I know, do I need to do this or not? Now I know that I don't need to do this. And right now, oh my gosh, I hadn't told you guys, I found my mixing engineer. So got a song coming right now. Hopefully, I got to actually, after recording the show, got to check my email because we might be almost done. But getting to this point has been a process that I've had to submit to. And there's been so many times that I've wanted to give up. Like even right now, literally with this show, we're in episode 6. And I'm like looking at the analytics, which I need to stop doing so much. Looking at these numbers and I'm like, oh, the watch time's not really there. It's not, I see it's growing. I see real subscribership happening and coming. It's coming. But it's not, I think the way that society perpetuates things is not happening in a grandiose way. It's not happening very fast. It's happening very gradually and, in my opinion, organically, But at the same time, I'm human and I'm a part of this culture. So there was a moment last night where I was really feeling like, dang, am I doing the right thing? Am I being delusional, making my music, doing these things, going down this path? And then it's so crazy because it feels like that's what comes with purpose, is like when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, there's nowhere to run. When you're not, there's somewhere you can run. When you're in the darkness, you can run to the light. But when you're in the light, where do you run? Back to the darkness? Where do you go? There's nowhere to run. And that's what it made me feel like last night. Like, what are you going to do? Delete all your episodes? not make music anymore so you could be depressed because this is what makes you happy? Are you going to just stop? Regardless of what people think or not, this is what makes you happy. And that's the order of things. So you may as well submit to the process of having to grow, of having to be vulnerable, of having people to see and watch you, learn in this process. And it's not easy. It takes so much courage to share with you guys the music that I'm working on, because right now I'm in vocal lessons and I'm learning so many things about projecting my voice. So right now you guys are hearing a version of me that maybe won't be here in a while, because then I'll learn how to be better. But I have to be willing to share that with you guys and not just be like, no, I'm not going to show up until I'm perfect, or I'm not going to show up until I'm really singing much better. And, it's like, no, this is it. This is what happens when you work every day. You're going to get better. It's no magic to it at all. But it's not easy, because I feel like people tell us all the time, be consistent, be consistent. It's not easy being consistent when you're not seeing consistent results. You're showing up each day, you're doing the task each day, but you're not seeing the rewards. And it's this process that comes with success that a lot of people don't share with us, which is the invisible process of success. In the performance arts world, it's the whole thing of like, which I've experienced. You book a venue, you hope people show up. I've done shows where people have shown up, and I've done some shows where I booked a venue and there was not a soul in the audience, and I still have to perform as though it's a sold out show. That is a mental thing. It's something you have to get past, and knowing that it's like, no, I'm going to do this because this is what I do, not because of who comes to see me. And it's something that you have to constantly practice. No matter how many times it happens to you, you're still vulnerable and feeling like, dang, am I crazy for keeping on showing up? Am I the problem? Am I the drama? That's when you start thinking to yourself. But in reality, it's just the process. Hey friend, I wrote a book called Healing After the Tragedy. It is available on Amazon. The link is in the description of this video. Please go ahead and support. There is also a play that is attached to this book. I wrote the play first, and then I wrote the book to go along with it, because I wanted you to be able to take something with you for your journey. It wasn't just about me. It was about me sharing my testimony in the play. So if you want to see the play, go ahead and go on the YouTube channel and you'll click oldest, and it's like the oldest video on my channel. You can watch it totally for free. And then if you'd like, you can go ahead and purchase the book. It is a book that just gives you some prayers, give you some scriptures, and really gives you more than the show, than what I was able to put into the show, but definitely will help you just really get close with understanding that God has so much for your life, so much purpose for your pain. This song is called Stop, and the beat is by Paya. Oh, yet again. Okay, of course Paya's gonna be on the album. My boy, we just keep churning them out. I told him yesterday, I was like, bro, we got another one. Yeah, so the beat is by him. Really love the sound. And when I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is giving me literally and metaphorically the essence of when you fall for someone, or even when you fall for your purpose, like your calling or whatever it is that you love to do, or even if it's an individual, sometimes that pull that they have on you when you're used to keeping it when you're used to just playing it cool and being like, I'm not gonna put myself out there like that and be embarrassed, but it keeps calling you and pulling you to be vulnerable. And you feel like with that person, like, dang, like, stop making me like you so much, because I'm afraid of who I might be. I'm afraid of how hard I might fall if I like you so much. I'm afraid of what might happen if I step into the unknown of actually caring about you. And I feel like that's the same thing when it comes to, I'm writing this about that feeling I felt when I first meeting my husband. And I'm like, stop making me like you so much. But then also, I feel like I was writing this to God, like, you feel like, stop making me want this so bad. Stop making me make myself be vulnerable. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into the song. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. I don't wanna feel, I don't wanna feel vulnerable. You're making me feel, oh, this can't be real. Just wanna be numb. And did you cast a spell on me? Or is this my blessing? It feels like a curse, and I don't wanna hurt. Thinking about you, wondering if you're wondering about me. Do you love me like I love you? Do you want me like I want you? I wanna stay. Please don't break my heart. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. Stop making me. Stop making me. Stop making me want you. I don't wanna feel vulnerable. Hope y'all like that. Tell me what you guys think. Definitely fresh off the page. Me just writing, getting the melody down. Then I take it to my vocal coach and we get me projecting and singing it right and everything for the stage. So you guys are just getting it fresh and raw. Yeah, so I appreciate if you've made it this far into the show, you watching, you being with me on this journey. Please leave your comments, leave your insight, leave the great things that are happening with you from what you got from Business Lesson Storytime, what you're getting from Book Chat, or if you feel any ways or got anything from my songs that I'm writing. Definitely want to hear from you. And most importantly, I hope you stay peace. I hope you stay blessed. And I hope you stay being you.